Welcome into another episode of the Eric Bach Show. And today we're going to cover why you are skinny fat and what exactly to do about it. Now, skinny fat is one of the biggest, most frustrating problems that guys struggle with. And it's a case where, you know what, kind of skinny, you don't have enough muscle, but you also got a bit of a pot belly. You feel like you probably have some real thin arms, but you have the stubborn fat that sits around your waist, around your love handles, like a fanny pack full of mashed potatoes, right? And so where a lot of guys get stuck here is they're not necessarily overweight, but they're soft and squishy. They might even have a healthy BMI, but shirtless, there's plenty of belly fat, maybe a soft chest, and they just don't like the way that they look. And so basic health standards, height, weight, BMI, all of these things, they might say that they're healthy, but they do not feel healthy. They do not like the way that they look. And so let's dig into how exactly we can fix it and how we can improve. So a couple of the key points here. When you're skinny fat, you have a low muscle mass and a relatively higher body fat percentage, meaning there's no real definition that's in there. And it's not because most of these guys who are skinny fat are necessarily lazy, they're just under muscled. And in most cases, what they've done is they followed programs that are quote unquote healthy, but they're not really optimized for them and for their body. I see this so often with guys who do a lot of workouts that are based on high intensity interval training. They do a ton of exercise classes. They don't really pay attention to how strong they're getting, but they focus on how many calories they're burning according to their Apple Watch or according to the Orange Theory class. And so what we need to think about is how do we actually train in a way that helps prevent skinny fat and gets guys who are quote unquote skinny fat to jacked and looking great naked. So here are 4 key points that we really need to be able to focus on and understand about having a skinny fat body. So first and foremost, when you're skinny fat, we have low muscle mass, which by extension means a lower metabolism, right? The more muscle that we have, the higher our metabolic rate. But beyond that, when we have more lean muscle, that muscle actually functions like a depository, so to speak, for glucose, for carbohydrates. And so when we have more muscle, we have more metabolic flexibility. And by extension of building more muscle, what does that mean? That means you have more freedom, more flexibility in terms of the foods that you eat, and you can do a better job of nutrient partitioning. Let's say we have somebody who cannot partition nutrients well, they're skinny fat, and somebody who's lean and jacked. That person who's lean and jacked is going to be able to, calories aside, everything else aside, have a better hormonal metabolic profile, be able to break down and use the foods more effectively for fuel and muscle growth versus fat gain compared to somebody who is skinny fat. And so we need to focus on building lean muscle to improve that overall metabolic rate. And by extension of boosting that overall metabolic rate, what happens? Well, we burn more calories at rest, and our body becomes more efficient at partitioning nutrients, breaking things down, and sending them exactly where we need them. So we need to focus on building lean muscle mass to enhance metabolic function. Issue number 2, poor insulin sensitivity. People who are struggling directly with that skinny fat physique will typically have those fat deposits around their lower belly and around their love handles. They typically store fat a little bit easier, and they have poor carbohydrate utilization. So we need to do a couple different things here, both in terms of meal timing, macronutrient split, but also, of course, building muscle, as I previously mentioned, because as we build more lean muscle, insulin sensitivity can improve. Issue number 3 was we typically see elevated cortisol, right? So when you have elevated cortisol, let's say you're somebody who has a high stress career, who has kids at home, doesn't get enough sleep, all of this stuff combined, and then the only way that you train is high intensity interval training because you heard you burn more calories in less time. Well, when we constantly have all of these different areas of stress hitting our body repeatedly, chronic stress is going to increase. That elevates cortisol. Cortisol is going to decrease thyroid function, so your metabolic, more or less, regulator. It's going to decrease testosterone. It's also going to decrease insulin sensitivity, how well your body handles carbohydrates. So when we're chronically stressed, we typically will lose muscle, we'll store more belly fat, and it creates a hormonal environment that also pulls down the previous things that we talked about in regards to insulin sensitivity. And then finally, this creates that hormonal dead zone. Low testosterone, hence low drive, sluggish thyroid, so metabolism is suppressed, and then poor recovery. So what we need to understand is all of these things are working against you when you are skinny fat, and therefore we need to attack them all in order to flip the script and get into a better spot. So here's what we need to think about. And these are some not to do things. I'm going to break these down and then I'll highlight what exactly we need to do in terms of fixing skinny fat. So mistake number 1, we don't want to overcut. We don't want to do too much cardio or too few calories. This is where a lot of people get stuck and they think if I want to break free in the skinny fat body, what I have to do is lose the fat and then build the muscle. Totally get that thought process. That's normally the ideal way I like to take it, but not necessarily when you're skinny fat. Particularly if we're overcutting, the more cardio we do, the fewer calories we have, the more it's going to exacerbate that underlying stress, that underlying cortisol, which is going to make it harder for everything else to function, right? This is where a lot of guys will be working really hard, barely eating, burning a ton of calories in a workout, but they're losing muscle, not really fat. So even if they look healthy, or even if the numbers say that they're healthy in terms of BMI, height, and weight, again, they don't look like they train. The second mistake would also be, on the flip side, dirty bulking, right? Because if you go into a position where you have a gut, your body cannot partition nutrients well, you don't have high insulin sensitivity, you're chronically stressed, and you just add a bunch of calories without a very clear-cut and focused plan, you're going to gain a lot of fat faster than actually building muscle. And so a lot of guys that are skinny fat, what happens is they oscillate between this aggressive cutting because they're really frustrated, which I totally get, and then this opposite side of dirty bulking. Let's just add a bunch of calories and build size because I'm so sick of starving myself. And the issue becomes, hey, if we're taking extreme approaches in either direction, then we run into issues because your body's not optimized to be able to handle the stress of an aggressive cut, nor is it hormonally, or frankly, are your habits really aligned in a way that's going to make adding more calories and bulking up a seriously effective proposition. And so what we need to think about here is actually a recomposition. And this is the idea of building some muscle and burning body fat simultaneously. Not simultaneously technically, but within the same plan, right? So here is how we start to fix this overall skinny fat approach. And it really begins with your training. First and foremost, we need to have weight training be the entree, right? It's not cardio. It's not how many calories you are burning. Trust me, I barely, if ever, look at how many calories somebody is burning from their Apple Watch or any one of those metrics as an important thing when it comes to designing a program. So like take that idea of calories burned and throw it out the window if you want to look great naked. It basically does not fucking matter, right? What we need to think about here is training for muscle. This means 3 to 4 days a week, we are training in the gym 45 to 60 minutes. Here, we're going to be having 5 to 6 exercises per session. A training split like a push, pull, lower, or an upper, lower training split is going to be best. This is going to allow you to train muscle groups once, if not twice per week, which is ideal for creating that right overall synthesis that we want to be able to train muscle groups ideally twice per week. This is going to allow us to take advantage of muscle protein synthesis being elevated for 36 hours after each training session and focus on basic compound exercises and movement patterns that fit your body, not trying to confuse your muscles. We should pick consistent exercises that work, and we should not be changing them every 2, 3, or even 4 weeks if we are consistently getting stronger. Really what it comes down to, a basic strength training program, an upper-lower training split, probably ideal here, with progressive overload as that basic focus. You have to play the long game when it comes to the training. Nutritionally speaking, I would like to follow the 4-4-40 rule. So this means we're not doing intermittent fasting, we're not doing keto, we're not doing any one of these extremes. 4-4-40 works incredibly well because what it does, we have 4 meals, about 4 hours apart, and at least 40 grams of protein per meal. First, the 4 meals. When we have consistent eating and consistent eating times, so 4 meals, 4 hours apart, this helps balance out and regulate hormone signals. When we have 4 meals that are 4 hours apart, this helps balance out hunger signals and cravings throughout the day. This will also help overall with stress when you're eating consistent meals, ideally a pretty similar composition at regular intervals. When we have this consistency built out, that's going to allow you to make adjustments and really understand what your body's going through. We also want to have at least 40 grams of protein during each meal. We want to be around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. By having this consistency, yes, we have enough protein to be able to build lean muscle and or support fat loss and optimal training while keeping hunger at bay. So 4 meals, 4 hours apart, at least 40 grams of protein per meal. Number 3, dial in your protein and calories first. Again, the idea here would be about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then we want to eat at calorie maintenance or a slight deficit. Here's the important caveat. A lot of guys will dramatically undereat for a long period of time. They'll say, hey, I've been trying to lose fat. I've been eating 1,800 calories, and they're not really getting anywhere. So on one hand, there can be a downregulation of your metabolism when you're consistently undereating. However, what happens with most guys is they will do really well with like 1,800 calories, and then they'll have a big blowout a couple of days a week. And so overall, their calories actually overshoot throughout the course of the week, which is why they don't really lose fat, right? So what we want to think about is we want to dial in our protein and dial in our calories. A very similar or a very basic thing I would do here is take your body weight in pounds. Let's say you're 150 pounds and multiply that by about 15. That's a pretty good baseline maintenance. Now, this might have to titrate up or down based on what you've done previously because your metabolism is not stagnant. It goes and varies up and down based on your genetics, hormones, the way that you've dieted before. And so none of these things are like concrete. You have to have that adaptability. And that's why having a coach is so important, because you have somebody who knows what to look for, who knows how to make these adjustments for you so you can go out and execute. Then protein, about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Carbohydrates and fat, again, we don't want massive swings here. We want the right balance. And so for most people, that means 30 to 40% of calories are going to be from carbohydrates and fat. We don't want to be super low on the carbohydrates because we don't have the optimal fuel for performing high velocity muscular contractions and optimizing training intensity, right? We don't want too high of fat because, well, you're just going to store more of it as fat as well. So we want enough to support overall balance in terms of meals, being able to eat the calories that we need consistently, and protein intake. And then, of course, things like testosterone production and vitamin and mineral solubility are also important when it comes to fat intake. Number 4, we have to attack stress. So for most people, here's where we need to begin. We need to go and get at least 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep. 8 hours a day is better. Go to bed consistently at the same time. Take a magnesium supplement and some glycine in the evening. That will be an absolute game changer for sleep and recovery. Biggest thing is get off your phone and go to bed at the same time each and every single day. Number 2, walk 8 to 10,000 steps a day as a bare minimum. This is not about burning calories. It's not your cardio, so to speak. What this is getting out in space, getting away from screens, and being present, getting into your body and feeling a bit better. It's absolutely crucial to get these walks in. Again, it's not about burning calories here. Get out and move your body. We are not meant to be behind a fucking Zoom screen 24 hours a day like so many of us, and then spending the rest of the day, I guess 24 hours, we don't have a rest of the day, but spend the rest of our time going through and scrolling on social media. Get out, move, touch grass. Number 3, meditate. Even 5 minutes per day using an app like Headspace. I do it first thing in the morning. It can be an absolute game changer for mental health. What I always like to say, meditation, what it allows you to do, it lets you step back and almost observe yourself before you react to something impulsively. And for most people, this is a huge thing, so they don't make rash decisions. And frankly, they get out of their head a little bit and can just make better decisions that are in alignment with the person that they want to be. Download an app like Headspace. Set up a meditation where it's the first thing that you do each and every single day so you do not forget it. And then magnesium. Magnesium is the second biggest vitamin and mineral deficiency in the Western world. And it is involved in over 200 chemical reactions inside of your body, many of them related directly to stress. So magnesium supplementation, absolutely huge. And this is number 5. When it comes to your workouts, focus on intensity, not duration. Meaning you should be focusing on getting strong as shit from 5 to 8 to 6 to 10 reps. These are the ideal rep schemes that we want to be able to focus on. When we build strength, we're getting that neuromuscular strength. We're building high amounts of mechanical tension. That's going to build both strength and it's going to help you build muscle. We do not want to be chasing super high reps, chasing the pump, trying to be out of breath with every workout and trying to, again, train like a bodybuilder or train like somebody who's getting ready for the Orange Theory Olympics. Those are 2 different things. But again, we don't need to be chasing a ton of volume and a ton of cardiovascular intensity here. We want to focus on getting stronger with basic exercises and getting to the point where we are creating that progressive tension overload on a consistent basis. Again, the issue that most people face here is because they're not training intense enough. They start to make up the difference with more cardio, with more supersets, and doing baby weights and barely lifting anything. This idea of replacing the hard basic work with things that are fancy is why so many guys end up staying stuck and never transform their body. Train smarter. You should be in and out of the gym in 45 to 50 minutes. 4 days a week. These sets should be damn close to failure. If they're not, your training intensity is not high enough to really change your body as effectively as you want. Number 6, ditch the excess cardio. Yes, cardiovascular exercise is great for your heart health. It's great for longevity. It's great for mental health. Most people who get skinny fat do plenty of cardio already. And if they want to change their physique, it's not going to be about becoming a cardio king or a cardio queen. We should focus more on walking and lifting. Most of the cardio we should be doing in a case like this should be zone 2. So to find zone 2, take 220 minus your age, and then multiply that by about 0.6. That's going to give you a ballpark of where your heart rate needs to be. For example, as somebody like me who's 36 years old, my heart rate, I want it to be around 125. I want to hold that for give or take 30 minutes, 2 or 3 days a week, right? I'll do that on a bike. I'll do it walking on a treadmill. I'll throw on a rucksack. I'll go for a hike around the neighborhood. Anything like that is going to be great. That's going to give you the cardiovascular benefits, but not so high that we send a conflicting signal when it comes to building muscle and actually reduces the effectiveness of everything else that we are doing. Number 7, we want to improve insulin sensitivity. So the biggest ways to improve insulin sensitivity are going to be, yes, eating a consistent balanced diet with the macronutrients we covered before and training hard consistently. These would be the biggest things. However, we can also look at things like going for a walk post-meal. We've seen that when we go for a walk after after a meal, it improves what we call postprandial insulin sensitivity, meaning your body will get better at breaking down the foods that you're consuming directly after that workout and help partition them more effectively. So go for short walks after you have your meals. It works like a charm. Try to eat the most of your white carbs or quick digesting carbohydrates around your training. So if you're training in the evening, probably have your highest carbohydrate intake meals directly around that time period. Again, that's going to take advantage of post-workout insulin sensitivity, because when we work out, those muscles, they contract like a sponge, and they do a great job of pulling those carbohydrates directly in, which helps that muscle building process, boost recovery, and actually reduces cortisol. You can also look at other supplements that can potentially help you a little bit when it comes to insulin sensitivity, but magnesium is going to be the biggest one in that regard. Really, it's going to be more of a matter of staying consistent with your diet, training hard, and moving a little bit more. Number 8, we want to supplement intelligently here. We want to use whey protein, creatine, vitamin D, fish oil, and magnesium. A lot of people, when they're skinny fat, will start to look at every single supplement under the sun, but they're missing many of the foundations. Whey protein, basically a food. Creatine, the most proven and researched supplement of all time. Vitamin D, the number one vitamin and mineral deficiency in the Western world, and it functions more like a hormone and will help improve your insulin, or not your insulin sensitivity, but your immune health and things like testosterone. Fish oil, going to be great for overall blood lipid profile, cognitive health. It's going to be helpful, really just as a long-term staple for most people in the Western world who don't get enough fish. I like a good high-quality fish oil from Legion. And then magnesium. We want about 400 milligrams of magnesium per day. If you're having a bunch of magnesium and then you have watery shit when you wake up, well, that's a sign that you're doing too much. So stay away from the cheap kinds like magnesium oxide. I like the magnesium over from Legion. Also, Magnesium Breakthrough is an incredible supplement which uses multiple forms of magnesium, and that can give you the full spectrum of everything that you would need. Number 9, manage stress. Overall, there's a careful balance between how hard that we train and our ability to recover. And so where a lot of people run into issues is they treat training alone as a stress reduction technique without actually focusing on things that truly reduce stress, right? And so let's think of this. Things in the day that increase our stress: caffeine, not getting enough sleep, spending all day on social media, being behind screens, getting cut off in traffic, having way too much shit to do, being in a calorie deficit, going low carbohydrate, high periods of long-term intermittent fasting. Those are all stressors. On the backside, what can actually calm us down? Well, rest and digest, relax, reading books, getting away from screens, having carbohydrates, eating at consistent intervals, not being in a calorie deficit, right? Reducing stress from all different inputs, whether it's getting cut off in traffic, whether it's the news and staying off social media. Most of us are so far towards the high stress side, because that's the way that society kind of has us wired, that we don't take enough time to actually recover. And so if we're just adding more and more and overstressing the body, we can't actually recover from all that hard work that we're putting in. So by extension of that, that's how you end up working hard, but not really seeing the result. So if you want to feel like you're actually seeing the result, you have to balance the stressors from the things that are truly beneficial for you. Then ultimately, number 10, this is the most important, by a mile, it's being ruthlessly consistent. Guys who are skinny fat have a tendency to, as soon as they start to feel a little bit fat because they're building muscle, they start to go back into a cut mode. And as soon as they start to feel too skinny in a cut, they start to bulk back up. And they continue this vicious cycle back and forth, bulk cut, instead of actually fixing the root issue. What you need to do is be all in, completely focused on fixing the skinny fat issue, on building lean muscle, on being in a calorie maintenance or even a slight deficit, but being very consistent with the way that you sleep, with the way that you eat, with the workout program that you're doing, with the exercises that you choose. Variation in this case is the absolute enemy. And those guys who are skinny fat are often skinny fat, not because of some genetic predisposition. It's because they can't fucking stick with anything longer than 5 seconds before they want to change it. Success comes down to the ruthless execution of the basics, especially for skinny guys. And what we have to understand is it's not a death sentence to be skinny fat. It means you've just been following the wrong plan. So once we start to train smarter, eat for muscle, manage stress, your body's going to respond a lot faster to it because you're putting yourself in the right direction to stay consistent. The biggest thing for most, though, is they don't have the support, they don't have the accountability to see it through because the mental battles become so difficult to overcome. And I'm saying this as a naturally skinny guy who struggled with this for a long period of time. And so if you want to be able to get a customized game plan to fix that skinny fat once and for all, right now is the time. Go over to Instagram at Bach Performance, send me a message that says gains, and you will get access to our Black Friday sale. We'll come up with a personalized skinny fat game plan for you to help you look great naked without living in the gym. Gang, that's it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode during this Thanksgiving week. I hope you have a great time. You're thankful for friends, for family. I know I'm thankful for all you guys. I will catch you on the next one.